going to talk about pregnancy of the mare, what to do before, during and after pregnancy.
When the vets confirm the pregnancy, what are the first steps to follow, to what you have to do?
First of all, when I want to breed a mare, we're vaccinating all our horses here against herpes 1 and 4, abortion virus.
Yeah.
So this we do all the year around, all the horses in our barn. So we vaccinate the babies from age
Also the babies.
all from 6 months of age. All our horses get basic vaccination against herpes, and then they get every 6 months for the rest of their lives. And
Why? Because here in this region it's very high.
It's high everywhere, and this builds a high resistance against this disease in your whole barn. Because if you target a few horses and the rest have no protection, your barn will have a low resistance.
Mm-hmm.
If you protect all your horses, you will have a high resistance in your barn. And we're choosing that because we're traveling. We're traveling to shows. True. We have traffic, we have guest mares. So I like to have a high resistance in my barn. So we do this with all horses. So this, when you want to breed your mare, and you don't have many horses, it's a good idea to keep your barn vaccinated against. Once you had virus abortion in your barn, we never had this. But I have heard farms that lost all their foals, and they normally lose at 8 or 9 months. So the foals are often alive when they...
Yeah.
And you don't want it, and it's a very cheap insurance to vaccinate all your horses. So this we do. That's step 1 when you plan to breed. Once the mare is in foal, we check at 16 days pregnancy. We check again at 30 days of pregnancy, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days.
Okay.
So we do this. This is just a responsibility from me because I keep horses here from trusting clients and friends. So I like to be able to confirm that the mare has been in foal during these periods, so that we can follow up on her. The first months of pregnancy, there is nothing special. It's just the last 3-4 months that we increase the feed. We also make sure that the mare has sufficient mineral intake. Sometimes when I lived in Sweden, because we lived in an area with selenium poor surrounding and pasture was low in minerals, so we gave also vitamin E selenium because this protects the foal's bone structure. If you have a foal born low in selenium, often you have problems in joints and bones. So this is also something you can do to help your mare to get a good start of the baby. And for the rest, there is nothing special we do. We make sure the mares are in good condition. They go outside every day in big herds, in big pastures. They run every day. And they have free amount every day of good hay. For the rest, we don't do anything special with our mares.
Introduction. Be sure to have all your vaccinations up to date. Protecting all horses against disease instead of only the horses who travel raises your entire barn's resistance factor. Remember to increase the feed in the last 3 to 4 months of pregnancy.
Regarding breedings, when we breed a mare for the first time, we never do it before she's 3 years of age. So that's the first breeding season of a normally developed filly, mentally and physically. Sometimes we wait until 4 years old if we have a filly that we feel is immature, because we want to know that she is mentally able to care for a baby. So between 3 and 4 years is the first time we breed. And the first we do is to check the cycle of the mare. Every 3 weeks the mare comes in heat normally, and it starts usually when it's getting warmer and when the mare starts to shed her winter coat. What we usually do is to put her in the close area of a stallion. So we normally have a stallion in a paddock close by the mares that should come in heat. And when we see them starting to be around the stallion, starting to talk to him, we take them in for a scan. So the vet is making an ultrasound. And also on old mares that had many foals before, we often take a swab to check that the mare doesn't have bacteria in her uterus.
Breeding. A normally developed filly can be bred between the ages of 3 and 4 years old. In any case, after she has reached an adequate stage of mental maturity, allowing her to nurture her young. A mare usually enters heat every 3 weeks after shedding her winter coat at the start of a new season. Make sure to keep an eye on her cycle. Be sure to inspect older mares for bacterial infections in their uteruses before breeding with them.
There are several ways of breeding your mares too, with different plus and minus. You can breed your mare naturally, means you have a stallion who breeds the mare like in nature. You can also use fresh cooled semen that you order from the stallion owner, and you can also use frozen semen, which means that you need to follow up more often with ultrasounds of your mare. So if you choose to use natural breeding, you will have to send your mare off to the stallion owner so that she can be bred at his place. It can be a good solution, and it's mostly the best way of getting the mare pregnant in the most easy way. The only thing you need to think about is if the mare has a foal outside, you need to send her off, sometimes for a month or more, so she will be away from your farm, with risks of the foal being sick in a new environment. Also you lose a bit of time of handling and interacting with your foal. If you choose to use fresh semen, you can mostly do it at home. So your vet is coming to your farm and following up with ultrasound on your mare, and telling you when it's getting close for her to be inseminated. And you must then order semen from the stallion owner. It's also important when you use fresh semen to be upfront, because the stallion owner must collect the stallion, and he must see how many mares need to be bred that day. If it's more than one, the semen need to be divided. So the earlier you can let the stallion owner know that your mare is coming in heat, the easier the stallion owner can know how to divide and how to plan the breedings at his own farm, and it's a bigger chance that you get a bigger dose of semen for your mare. Plus, if he's standing in another country, they must also do health papers for transport of your mare. This means that they need normally 1 to 2 days to prepare the papers. So a common mistake that we have, and which is expensive and frustrating for the mare owner, is that they call us when they actually need the semen, not realizing that the semen will arrive only 2 days later and the mare had already ovulated. So you're missing the cycle. And once your vet has scanned your mare, usually you need to scan every second day to see the growth of the follicle. And when it's time to order semen, your vet can inform you. You contact the stallion owner to make an order of the semen so that they can collect, make the health papers and send the semen off to you. Some stallion owners, they ask payment up front, so be ready for that in case you get an invoice by mail, that you pay it right away so that you're sure that the semen will be sent to you. And once the semen arrives, your vet will do the insemination, and then you should scan your mare again 1 or 2 days later to see and make sure that she ovulated. If she did not, you might need to order semen one more time. Normally the semen lives quite well inside the mare for 1 or 2 or 3 days. For us, a common mistake is the mare is not really ready to inseminate when the semen arrives, and many people put the semen in the fridge and they wait for the right moment. But the semen actually lives much better inside the mare. So what we do is to anyway inseminate the mare, to give the semen a good environment than to put it in the fridge and let it die and then you put it in the mare. So we always inseminate, even if it's too early, when the semen arrives. And we also don't divide the semen, one dose now, one dose later, because it always lives the best inside the mare. After breeding, after ovulation, the vet will also let you know if the mare looks fine, if the ovulation was normal, if the mare has fluid in her uterus, because if she has, it will be difficult for the embryo to find a wall inside the uterus to hang on to. So you might need to rinse your mare with antibiotics or to give her oxytocin afterwards.
Artificial insemination. If you will choose artificial insemination to breed your mare, be sure that you are aware of the mare's condition and cycle, since administrative procedures might delay the arrival of semen. It is advisable to inseminate the mare as soon as the sperm arrives. Semen survive inside the mare for longer periods of time when compared to storing the sperm in a fridge, for example.
Your vet should also check that there is not a double ovulation, meaning that there are 2 eggs that ovulated, because then you have risk for twins. And usually this is not a good thing on a horse, because if you have twins, normally the mare will abort before full term, or she aborts one that is weaker, that dies, but that dead one might also take the fully grown one out. So if the mare has twins, it should be known as soon as possible, because then you can squeeze one of them off, that there is a chance for the other one to grow and you can have a normal pregnancy. And this should be double checked. We always check the mares for pregnancy on 16 days. And then we check them again on 30 days to see that everything looks fine and that there is not a twin hiding behind, because they move and sometimes you can miss it. So we always like to check on 30 days as well. And also at 30 days you can see if there is a heartbeat on the embryo and if it's of normal growth, of normal size. So we always like to check. And then we also check again at 60 days and at 190 days and at 120 days, just to make sure that everything looks good and that the foal is growing normally and that the mare is still in foal, because you can sometimes miss. You think your mare is pregnant, she goes out to eat grass, she goes fat, and you wait for your foal and it comes only a fart. So it's it's not ideal. So we always like to double check and make sure that there is a foal inside. You can also breed by frozen semen. This requires some more work because you must inseminate the mare at or just after ovulation. When you breed with fresh semen, the semen lives much longer, so you don't need to be so precise because it will stay alive waiting for the mare to ovulate. With frozen semen it's much more delicate, so you really have to use timing. When we breed with frozen, we start out in the cycle by checking the mare every second day. When the follicle is big enough and it's getting closer, we're scanning every 4 to 6 hours. This means that the vet need to check her also at night. And when it's coming closer to insemination, the closer it comes, the more he will scan. So mostly it's not so easy to do that at home unless you have a vet who wants to sleep over, or you have a vet living very close by so that he can come back. But most of frozen semen it happens at clinics, so you would have to leave your mare over the cycle at a clinic. And you also need to store the semen in a container. So normally this is stored at the vet station, unless you have your own EU center and you have semen stored at home. And it's the same there after insemination. You check that there's no fluid, you check that there's only one ovulation, and so on and so on. But frozen semen, these days vets are usually very good, and pregnancy rate is quite high. But of course the costs are higher because you have to scan so many times within one cycle or bring the mare to a clinic. So you need to calculate more costs, also more shipping costs of semen, because you need to send it in a container, nitrogen-filled container, and you need to send the container back. So it's not just a little box arriving with 2 little tubes. It's a whole container. And often it's also waiting list on containers during breeding season, because clinics or stallion owners, they don't have a lot of containers, it's expensive. So if you realize when the cycle starts you want frozen semen, it's not even sure you will receive it. So when you know that you might like to use frozen semen for your mare, usually it's a good idea to order the semen already in the winter, when it's no high traffic on the containers and the clinics have time, and then you store it at your clinic, and once it's time to breed, everything is in order and you have the semen in place. Because that's a common mistake also, and you lose cycles because you can wait sometimes for weeks before the semen arrives. Then there is another way of breeding, and that is embryo transfer. It's the one step further in costs. Because what you do is you breed your mare in the normal way, with insemination, natural breeding, frozen semen, fresh semen, and then on day between 7 and 9 your vet is flushing the uterus of the mare, and she flushes the embryo out of the mare, and then you prepare the embryo and you put it into a recipient mare. So that's a totally different mare that has been fine-tuned with the cycle of your mare, so that she's in heat the same time and her clock is the same as your mare. And then what you do is you insert the embryo into the recipient mare and hope that she will accept the embryo. So the embryo is growing in a guest mare, actually a surrogate mother. And of course this requires 2 mares for one foal. So either you can have an extra mare at your home, or you need to board an extra mare at a farm elsewhere, or if you don't have your own mare home, you will have double costs until the foal is weaned. Plus the procedure and the rental and the embryo transfer fee is higher than if you just breed your own mare. And then if your foal is not what you expected, it's going to be a very high cost for a foal that maybe does not have the value that you expected. So you need always to calculate that this is a much, much riskier business. We do some embryo transfers, but not much of it. First of all, I love a mare having her own foal. And second, in my opinion, I don't say this is right, but in my opinion, we create inflation in the value of a mare if she has more than one foal. If I have a special filly out of a mare, she's very special. But if she has 3 full sisters, the very special in this filly will not be as precious because there will be more of them. So this is a personal opinion. I don't say this is right or wrong, but this is how I feel it. When we do embryo transfer, it's mostly because of medical reason. If you have a mare who is on the older side, she's still fresh and healthy in every way, but she's too old to care for a foal, or she has arthritis that she cannot run very well, or she has a lot of cysts in her uterus, so it's hard for her to carry a foal full term. So this is the reason for us to do embryo transfer. And then we have a few owners that once in a while want to do an embryo, but everyone is aware of, first of all, when you breed a mare normally, you're very happy when she's in foal. When you breed for embryo, you're very happy she's in foal, then you take the foal out and you put it in another mare. So first it needs to survive the taking out. That's a trauma for an embryo, of course. And then it needs to survive when you put it in another mare, and then it needs to start to grow in another mare. So there are many more risk factors when you breed for embryo. So the more we breed, the less embryos we do, for many personal reasons. But this doesn't mean I say embryos are wrong, because there are many reasons for doing embryos too. I'm just talking out of my preference and my experience.
Pregnancy. Always do 2 or more checks to ensure that your mare is not carrying twins. Twins are considered dangerous since both foals might naturally abort. When using frozen semen to inseminate your mares, be sure to order the sperm ahead of time, since using frozen semen is a much more delicate and precise process to adhere to. Embryo transfers are considered to be one of the most expensive and high-risk procedures that should mostly be used only when a mare has reached a certain age, or is unavailable to breed with due to the development of possible health risks, like, for example, having formed cysts in her uterus.
When the mare is in foal, she can be treated and living pretty much normally until the last few months of foaling. We like to keep our mares in good condition, so we often ride our mares. They can go to shows. They are turned out in the pastures. They live very normally. They eat normally. We always give very good quality hay. This is the base of any feed. And they have free access to hay. And the last months of pregnancy, we increase the amount of grain they get, because that's the last 3 months of pregnancy. It's when the embryo grows the most and becomes a foal. So those last months, the mare is getting more heavy. Maybe she doesn't have the same energy level, and a lot of her energy goes into growing her foal, actually. We also like that when the mare is foaling, she's in good health and condition and weight. We do not want her underweight when she foals, because she gives a lot of milk to the foal, and it's very common that they lose a lot of weight the first months of giving milk. So we like her to be in good condition. You should not see the ribs. You should feel them under a little layer. You should not see the hips sticking out. And I like her to be muscled. She should have been out. She moves in big groups, in big pastures when possible, so that she's in good shape. We make sure that she's dewormed regularly. We also vaccinate against herpes and flu. And this we do on a regular schedule, so all our mares are well cared for, pregnant or not. It's just a routine. We make sure that her dental care is up to date, that she can use nutrition well, so that when the foal is born, she can have use of anything she eats, because the foal adds kilos per day in weight, and all this comes from the mare the first months before the foal start to eat alone. The last weeks before pregnancy, if she likes, she can be outside half day. If we see she start to wait at the gate, we take her in. And we start to look for signs of foaling. Usually 3-4 weeks before the baby is born, we start to see the udder grow a little bit. We try to look in the mornings, because there you see the biggest change. After the mare is out the whole day, normally they go small again. So if you look sometimes morning, sometimes evening, you will see a difference. So if you choose a time every day and you check the same time, then you will see the difference. The days before foaling, the pelvic ligaments go soft, totally soft, to help the delivery of the foal. And that's a good sign of foaling coming close. And the udders are really big. Mostly you can see little crystals on the end of the nipples that often go yellow 24, 48 hours before foaling. But it's not always, so don't take it as a absolute sign. Wait for it until you see them. Some mares will foal without. And some maiden mares that never had their foal and you don't know their behavior, they can stand, eat hay and just lie down to foal. So you never really know. But the common pattern is the croup is getting loose, the udders are getting big. And if you have a camera for your mare that you can see her in the evening, we usually put them in the camera stable 3 or 4 weeks before foaling, because then we can see the normal pattern of the mare. We know approximately when she used to sleep, what she does in the evening, if she's quiet, when she eats hay. And you see this behavior change the day before foaling. Maybe she doesn't go to eat, or she eats frantically, or she stops to lie down and sleep, or she walks around, or she lifts her tail, or she kicks the walls. You see that this she didn't do before, so it's coming close. You have also different kind of fall alarms. You can put a girth around, warning you when the mare lies flat down. So then it's time to look in the camera to see if she's falling. Many mares, they lie flat down to sleep, so you will have many alarms, but better false alarm than no alarm. You also have a sweat detector that you can put either around as a girth or in the halter. It's not all horses sweating, especially not Arabians. They have easy delivery, so it's not totally safe. We had just a camera. We look at the mare every hour when it's coming close, opening one eye, looking. If she's quiet, sleep again, look 1 hour later, and if she's restless, we stay awake and look, because that was for us the safest and most reliable foal guard. This year we have tried something new, and that's an artificial intelligence camera that will follow the pattern of the foaling behavior. And this is the best foal alarm we ever had, because it measures all the signs: faster breathing, walking around differently, lifting the tail, pooping more often, and all this together gives us an alarm, usually 20 minutes before the water breaks. So this has been a good system for us as a foal watch, because we have many foals. If you have only 1 or 2, it works perfectly well to have a camera and keep a check on the mare. And then the closer it gets, the more ready you are to go down to the stable. We try not to disturb our mares before, because sometimes if you go all the time into the mare to check if she's going to foal, you often delay the foaling. Mostly they fall at night. So what we do is, when the mare lies down and we see she starts to push, that means she lies down and one hind leg lifts because she's pushing. That's when we go into the barn, and then we help the mare to foal. So this is a mare close to foaling. She's going to foal maybe tonight. She has been watched already one night. She has been restless in the box, swishing her tail. And I'm just going to show you some signs that you can have an idea that she's going to foal soon. Like a week before the show, the baby's turning inside, getting ready to come out. So you can see a change of the shape of her belly. Also her hip, if you can hold. This part is relaxing and it's getting very soft the days before foaling. So if you look at your mare every day and you see a dip here, you can be sure that she's preparing herself and she's going to foal soon. And then I'm going to show you her udders, because 1 or 2 days before foaling, she gets transparent little drops on her udders. If you look, she has white drops on her udders. So it's actually milk. So once you see little crystals of transparent milk, you know it's going to come within a few days. And when the drops are white or yellow, you can be sure it's quite close to foaling. So this mare we're going to watch tonight. So if we have luck, we can see a foaling.
Last days of pregnancy. It's very important to have your mare in good conditions before delivery. Be on the lookout for signs indicating that your mare is ready to foal, like for example, the croup getting loose. Using technology to increase your chances of providing support towards your mare is always considered a good idea. Thanks for watching Lesson 3, Breeding a Mare. Make sure to breed your mare only if she is in proper conditions. Choose if you want to go for natural or artificial insemination. Be ready to assist her in the moment of delivery.
Unmatched passion. Those are the words that come to mind when talking about Marieta Salas. Her love for Arabian horses started about 60 years ago and never wavered.
I was 14 when I saw an Arabian horse. I was completely impressed by 11 little mares, all alike. They were Congo daughters. This was in Jerez, in Spain.
Year after year, Ses Planes has produced endless gold champions, and some of them became worldwide legends. Marieta is not only an excellent breeder, she is also a dreamer. She dreamt about a world where Arabian horses are seen as life companionship and not simply a means to an end, where everyone will be able to see that the true beauty of an Arabian horse lay in his soul, and not only on their pretty heads.
The first time a foal was born, that is my special moment. Because, okay, when you win prizes it's nice, but it comes and goes. So when you see a foal, a baby born, this is what impresses me, and what I like most about Arabian horse.
Marieta Salas and her ganaderia Ses Planes are proud to offer to the world the second masterclass of Johanna Ullstrom.